Hey guys, welcome to my final SimCity video. This will be my last video on SimCity, and it'll also be my thoughts on SimCity, for that matter as well. I've made this video to sort of tie together any loose ends from my thoughts on from the SimCity beta, just sort of bringing together all the things that I've felt and learned from the past week of playing. This video is not supposed to be a review, not supposed to be a first impressions, not supposed to copy anything. It's just simply just how disappointed I am with this game. I feel it had so much potential to reboot a franchise, however it just failed to deliver on so many levels. So I'm not really sure how to structure this video. I don't want it to be bad, good points, conclusion. I want it to be raw, I feel, my genuine thoughts. So I'm just going to start by talking about different categories, and then I'll elaborate on them as we go, if that's okay. I feel the first thing that we should start off on is the servers. I know most of you probably heard a lot about them over the last week, but I'll try and condense it quite a bit. It seems that servers nowadays are just the Achilles heel of any modern game. Any game that implements servers, it just doesn't work, and I don't know why companies are insisting on shoving this down their neck. We don't want servers. I don't understand what's wrong with just having the social aspects there, but us being able to local host it like Anno does. Anno does it so well. Even didn't do it well in the beginning, I have to admit, with the always on DRM, but it got there in the end. I feel this whole server debacle has not only damaged the company's image, but also damaged our trust as gamers in EA. I feel EA used to stand for quality and good games. You know, EA games challenge everything. I think everyone's got that ingrained in the back of their mind, but now it just seems EA games rob your wallet or something along those lines. And I just don't feel that trust can ever. I don't feel it can be fully regained now. Not after this. Not after the crap we've been through with this game. I think it's going to take something better than a free game to truly fix this. Okay, let's get down to the main attraction here and talk about the gameplay. There's some redeeming points, I feel, in the gameplay, although they are sort of hollow victories. Graphics they've been overhauled massively from previous games. However, they haven't. For a PC game, I feel they could be better. They seem, I want to say cartoony, I'd say. I know it's supposed to appeal to everyone, but they do feel a bit childish. Maybe it's the colours they're using or some sort of the graphic style, but I feel that. But although the graphics have been overhauled, that's nothing to write home about, considering that the last proper SimCity game was 10 years ago, so we should really be expecting this. I feel gameplay has greater fluidity. I think the data maps are great. They allow, major problems to be identified with a glance and able to fix. Road management has been improved infinitely. You've now got the grid system with sort of a snap to road function, which is really nice. Allows infrastructure to be put in quickly and efficiently. The curvy type of road, it really brings the city to life if you use them. It looks really good instead of just sort of a New York where it's all straight lines. The one thing I would mention with curvy roads though is, while I was playing, I rarely utilised them. This was largely due to the fact that cities have been made much smaller since SimCity 4. I mean, SimCity 4 cities were massive, and now it seems to just be like 5 square miles to fit all these people in. So the only way to build your city, to get a decent sized city, is to actually just do the grid system, which it just defeats the point of having curvy roads. Because if you want to max out your city and get the maximum population, which you do, you don't want to spread out over multiple cities, which they're encouraging you to do, but I don't think anyone likes that. Then you have to go for the grid style. If you don't go for this grid style, you lose out on precious floor space, and you won't be able to fully utilise all the area available in your very limited space. Mark. Specializations have made their first appearance in the game. They come in 6 distinct types of specialization. There's mining, which is coal, ores and stuff, making that into metals, which can be used at the electronics. Electronics is the idea of combining plastic and alloys to make processors. Drilling, which is just drilling for oil, turning it into fuel. Gambling, which is essentially just building your city to a Las Vegas, like Metropolis. And trading, which sort of brings all of them together apart from gambling. So you could import crude oil, turn it into fuel with the mining specialization, then export it as petrol to make a profit. And also one more, culture, which is sort of tourism, which goes hand in hand with gambling, really. In theory, these can really help your city with a big cash boost. However, in reality, I found this was rarely the case. I found myself numerous times, spending lots of money building casinos and tourist traps, which would make huge profits for maybe 20 minutes. But then I would look back and it'd be losing over 15,000 the next minute. It just seems pointless. It makes them feel useless in game. Because very late game, you're working to some pretty tight budgets. Probably plus 4,000 if you're good. Maybe I'm just really bad. But that's usually what I'm working to. So these losses can really cripple you and sort of end the game right then. Another thing to mention is that they take up a lot of space and a lot of money, and as we've mentioned previously, you're fighting for floor space. You physically, if you've got your city balanced in such a way that everything's working, you're making money, like where you put the expo center, which is massive, that can have a big impact on revenue, because you might have to destroy either some commercial buildings or some residential or some industry, and it can ruin everything, as I found out the hard way. I set up a drilling town which turned crude oil into petrol. However, to sell the petrol, I had to either build sort of a commercial sector for my petrol HQ, which I couldn't unlock until I make some ridiculous target. It was like sell 1.5 million, make a 1.5 million profit by selling fuel. But you'd have to do that. I feel you'd have to pretty much convert your entire city into oil production, and this isn't really viable as oil is a limited resource. You can run out of resources, so it just doesn't seem feasible to set up a whole city dedicated to oil just to lose it, as you won't be able to make it further along. And when I was playing with my friends, I was pissing them off actually, because what I was doing, I was claiming cities to make oil, and then I'd make all the oil, steal it all, basically rob the land dry of oil, and then just leave. But the problem is you can't delete cities online, so I was just leaving basically ghost towns where no one lived, and there was just 2 big oil things in the middle. But because I didn't have enough money to restart the city, I just left them there. But I'm going off topic a bit here. So as I was turning the crude oil into petrol, to sell it, I had to again either make a ridiculous quota, or I had build a trading HQ, which takes quite a while. You need to set up your trading routes, make a profit on them, set up the trade HQ. But then I had to build a petroleum sector, which cost 400 grand, which, if you've played the game, it's not too hard, but it's not exactly easy either. And I just found upgrading your HQ and getting these big economic powerhouses was just a pain in the ass. So I didn't really utilize them that much. So a big part of the game for me was just I just didn't bother with. It didn't feel fun. It ruined the cities. I mean, I would build a city and then started going to oil just to find it's out under my like high-end mansion residential area. I know these things I should check first, but it's just frustrating, and I don't feel it works well in SimCity. As I mentioned before, resources do run out. You can which I found stupid, and I don't know if this is a bug or if I'm just being an idiot, but I ran out of water. I'm going to let that sink in for a bit. I ran out of water on a planet that is 80% water, and I live by a river. Yeah, exactly. It's just, that was stupid. I think what they wanted you to do was set up a city that gave water to another city, but I don't know why they just didn't make the cities bigger. That's what really confuses me. They seem to have this, one of the core mechanics of the game is to set up different cities and each having them specialised, but why not just make it bigger? I didn't quite understand that, so that's another point that annoyed me. Also, the regional view is terrible compared to SimCity 4, where all the cities sort of congregated together, and it looked like it actually looked like cities were, where they would be conjoined together. This just has like skyscrapers in a perfect square, and then miles of nothingness between cities, and there's loads of land in between where you could squeeze other cities, and the game just doesn't do that, and I'm not really sure why. I think I've talked about the big points a lot now. I think we should move on to the smaller points. Some of the small points that I have are, a lot of things were missing from SimCity 4, such as subways. I really enjoyed subways, as you were able to build underground in a sort of underground view, and it really added to sort of the city building aspect. It's a small thing, but it's just, when making a sequel, I don't understand why you take something like that away. You should always be adding. Well, that's my thoughts anyway. Also, highways were missing from SimCity 4, and also when you ran low on money in SimCity 4, it gave you the option to set up buildings where other regions would pay you. So, for example, there's a nuclear testing site, an army base, I think a sewage nuclear waste dump, but they all gave you income, so it was really a nice lifeline to have. So if you ever need to expand or something, you could always have that building there to build to get you a cash injection. Again, another minor gripe, but it's just something they've still taken away. A few other small things that annoyed me but shouldn't have are disasters. Unlike in SimCity 4, disasters can just occur. For example, Godzilla, meteor strikes, they can all just occur naturally in the game. And there's no option to turn these off that I could find, and I just didn't like it. I like having immersion, I like it to be a simulation. I don't want meteors coming down from the sky or Godzilla coming out, because it just breaks. I'm trying to build a city here, I don't want these, but there's no option, there's no customization to turn them off, which I found incredibly annoying. When I built a nuclear power plant, it had the maximum number of cooling towers, 4, and I had electronics division, petroleum division, and trading. Doing quite well. I was on the brink of bankruptcy, managed to bring it back. However, the meteor strike destroyed everything. We did about $6 million worth of damage. I rage quit at that point, but I shouldn't be rage quitting my simulation game. It just shouldn't happen. And why they decided to do this, I honestly don't know. If you like them, that's great. I personally didn't. I think one of the only saving graces of this game is that it's a solid game. If this was my first introduction into the series, then I would be very impressed. If I hadn't played SimCity before, if this is my, as I say, the first one, then it is a solid game. When it works well. There's not many bugs. There's a few AI issues with public transportation, but that's about it. It's a good game. And one of the things I think that has been improved from SimCity 4 is the public transportation. There's a lot, aside from the subway, there's a lot easier to plan. You can see where your buses will go. You can see the areas of effect those buses will have. Streetcars are good. Municipal buses are good. All this is good. So, from a transportation point of view, it's an improvement on SimCity 4. I will give it that. So now we come to the hard part of the video, really. How to conclude this video. I feel SimCity 4, it's not a bad game. It's a bad implementation of servers. If once you get past the servers and once you get in, it's a good game. It's a solid game. If this was your first introduction to SimCity, then I think you'd have a great time. However, for me, personally, if we look past the servers, the game's not for me. Too much has changed from SimCity 4. Too much stuff is gone, which I enjoyed. And not enough's really been added for 10 years since the last one. And I think the real question you've got to ask yourself is, do you support EA? Do you support Max? Do you support this practice? And I think the honest answer is, us gamers, we're going to have to draw the line somewhere, and I think this might be it. I know they have their reasons. I know they said that the servers handle calculations and it reduces piracy, but I think this is where we have to say no. This is not acceptable. If we're spending £40, $60 on a product, it needs to work out the box. You can't punish us for spending money. Anyway, I think I've talked about this enough now, really. We'll call it a day here. If you liked the video, if you could leave a like, that would be great. If you like my thoughts on, there's going to be more coming, so feel free to subscribe. If you didn't like the video, instead of just disliking, if you could leave a comment in the description, constructive feedback would be muchly appreciated. And also, check out our channel. We're a variety gaming channel. We've got lots of content up at the moment. And you know, if you could do the same, leave a like if you liked it, comment so we know what to continue, what to discontinue. And always, have a good day.